What's going on, all you HBO Max enthusiasts? Your two favorite binge watchers are back today, and we're going to talk about the all new HBO Max series, limited series, Tokyo Vice. So that's right. Tokyo Vice premiered just last week on HBO Max. The first three episodes were made available. Me and Logan here are going to be talking about the premiere episode, the first episode of the show. The first episode is directed by Michael Mann. Of course, we know him from having directed Miami Vice back in the day, and films like Collateral, anything from Collateral to
My favorite, Heat, from 1995.
Heat, of course.
Pacino, De Niro, Val Kilmer.
One of the classic crime dramas of all time, for sure.
Yeah, definitely a classic film. When I think of Michael Mann, I think of that. But he's known for making really great crime dramas. And that's what he brings with this, with Tokyo Vice. The setup, we have Ansel Elgort. He plays Jake Adelstein. He's American in the late 90s in Japan. He's taken a test. He's fluent in Japanese, which is very awesome, something I didn't expect him actually pulling this off. And he writes in Japanese and everything, takes a test, and he's getting this job at this major metropolitan newspaper as a foreigner. First time that's ever happened, American going in and getting this, bigwig job at the biggest newspaper, one of the biggest in the world. And he goes in kind of cocky and really, meeting people that work there. And they're like, screw this American. He's just very full of himself and a really smart young man, learning the language coming from, I think he lived in like Missouri or something, moved to Japan and ended up with this job, hasn't been home in a few years. With him getting this position, they're starting to look into some murders that are taking place.
That's right. Yeah. And this story is all taken from Jake's actual memoirs, the actual person that did all this. Like you mentioned, he had to take this test to become the first foreign-born journalist. And he passed it. And like you mentioned, just right away when he's speaking fluently in the language, you're like, whoa, this Ansel Elgort really committed to the role, obviously having to learn Japanese for the part. And, filming over in Tokyo, it actually was filming during the pandemic, and it got postponed for a little bit and they picked up later. But yeah, that's what grabs you right away is the authentic feel, being there shooting in Tokyo, and you really get the Michael Mann cinematic directing from him. All the shots that he does that he's known for in his films are definitely on display. And this is a great project for him to executive produce and also direct this first episode and really get us into the story of Jake, how he's this young kid, this young American kid, and he's going to this new country in Tokyo. And pretty soon he finds himself involved in all these, executions and things going on with Yakuza and the underworld there. And, eventually he, makes some friends there within the news organization, but he also makes some enemies. The head of the organization doesn't like him at all, calls him a gaijin. He's an outcast. He's, obviously an American in a foreign world here. And he starts doing his job being a journalist, but that means, getting into other people's business. And when you're an American in a foreign country, that's going to lead to problems. But lucky enough for his character, he meets Ken Watanabe's, vice police chief there, and they start forming a relationship and, cluing each other into like the, sort of the underworld of Tokyo.
Yeah, like with all Michael Mann films, we have some really great crime drama here. The underworld, crooked cops. Jake is trying to get some answer about some murders going around. He starts talking to some cops that, obviously you can't trust. They seem like scumbags and other bad guys along the way, but he's really great at crafting, this genre of filmmaking, especially for TV. It looks like a Michael Mann movie. It looks beautiful, beautifully shot, like you said, cinematography wise. Color schemes in this really beautiful. Score was great. It really created a really cool atmosphere in Tokyo and Tokyo Vice, and very impressed with the first episode, but I would expect nothing less from Michael Mann, being a legend, in the industry, making films for a long time. But even the characters in this, character development is really great. Getting a glimpse of what Jake is going to encounter in the future episodes with the underground crime world, crooked cops, being a foreigner, writing for a newspaper, meeting a lot of people getting in their business, like you were saying. So it's going to set up a lot of great tension in this.
Absolutely. It really sets the stage in this first episode for the rest of the series moving forward. And it really works for the two leads here. with Ansel Elgort playing Jake Edelstein. It's an authentic performance. I've seen a lot of him lately. Obviously, he was in West Side Story recently, and he started out like The Fault in Our Stars as a much younger, several years ago. So he didn't really know what was going to happen with the trajectory of his career. But I like his choices lately, and he seems to be on the rise as far as his acting career. And with this one, it really elevates his standing within my thoughts. I didn't really think too much of him before. Baby Driver obviously was another one that I really enjoyed, but this one, like, you can tell he's growing as an actor, and the way he commits and learn the language and everything really impressed me. And I really buy him. Like you mentioned, he's kind of cocky character at first, but as he learns more and more, you can see sort of the paranoia and the fear come into him there, because he's dealing with all this all this shady underworld in Tokyo, and the threat of murder, and the Yakuza around every corner. And Ken Watanabe, his character, being obviously this guy that's been in the Vice police for all this time, he knows what's going on in the underworld. He knows all the ins and outs, and Jake wants to write authentic stories, being this American journalist who's passed this test, being the first foreign-born journalist. So he wants to make a name for himself, and he really cares about what's going on. He wants the truth, and he wants to write good stories. And the way that they work together, it's a really authentic relationship. And as the episodes go on, the first three really set up their relationship, and the story I'm really digging too, and all the side characters as well. The Samantha, I believe, she's another American there that Jake meets. She's sort of like I don't know if it's an escort, or she goes around to basically high-paying customers and has dinner and drinks with them and whatnot. And obviously she knows the Yakuzas in there. They're always in there, because they have a lot of money and everything. But all the side characters feel authentic too. All the characters portraying the crime bosses, you really get the sense that some of those, if you didn't know that it was all an act, you'd buy them being like Yakuzas or, mafia, involved in the mafia underworld. So really authentic. And I had a great time with the premiere episode of Tokyo Vice, and I'm in for the 8 episodes. This story in particular, with all these memoirs, there's multiple seasons that could be made from this. So I'm hoping that this does well and we get to see more from this. But if not, it's a great view into a world that we haven't seen too much of. Obviously there's been some things with the Yakuzas and everything, but this is really going to get go into the heart of it, and find out what's really going on behind the scenes there, because we're used to the American mafia, but not necessarily what's going on in Japan. So it's cool to see a different side, and see a snapshot of history that actually happened with Jake being a real person and being the first foreign-born journalist. So with that being said, I'm going to give HBO Max's Tokyo Vice premiere episode a 4 out of 5 Jake Edelstein hair pieces.
Woo!
He has great hair.
He does. I wonder if he's hurt plus. Yeah, with that being said, I didn't know anything about the show. Uncle Henry told me about it, told me to check it out. Didn't watch the trailer, went in with fresh eyes, had an absolute blast with it. The only thing that really grabbed my attention before I watched it was Michael Mann. Hell of a job directing this. Good seeing him working more. It's been a minute, but one of my favorite directors, especially in this genre, really crafts a great story here. Camera, the cinematography is beautiful, creates a beautiful atmosphere, music's awesome. Great ensemble of actors in this, having to do with Tokyo and some bad guys showing up along the way. With young Jake, I thought he did a great job in this role. Not a huge fan of his, only seen a few movies of his. I haven't seen West Side Story, but it's Baby Driver, obviously, and then Fault in Our Stars, which was one of the early movies I reviewed in my professional career. And it's not something I brag about, but back in the early days, 2014, when it came out, it was the bottom of the barrel movies I had to check out in the theater in Las Vegas. So it's fun to see him grow as an actor since that movie with Shailene Woodley that I can't stand. But he's growing up, growing on me. He did a really great job in this. I love his character, and I really can't wait to see where this goes. I only watched the first 2 episodes. I know the first 3 are streaming on HBO Max right now, so I'm looking forward to checking out the next episode and the rest of the season and see where they go with this. I'm going to give the pilot episode of Tokyo Vice a 4 out of 5 Jake hair pieces.
So what did you guys think of Tokyo Vice on HBO Max? Did you guys enjoy it as much as we did? Do you guys really enjoy Michael Mann's work? We really like the color scheme of this, especially I like the way that it was kind of the neon influence. We've seen that in a lot of projects lately, but I thought this was well done. Even the poster looks cool to me. The way, it highlights obviously blood red being that shady underworld, and like the blue, the darkness and the shadows and everything. I like how it's done. So did you guys like it as much as we did? Leave a comment in the comment section below, and don't forget to click subscribe. Also, check us out on all the rest of our social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, where we are posting news and reviews and podcasts and everything that we do on a daily basis. We also have a big fellas giveaway going on right now, and will be going on for the next several weeks until the 26th of April. We are giving away the 4K digital code of Spider-Man No Way Home. So make sure to go watch that video and find out how to enter in. And we're going to choose one lucky winner on the 26th.
And also check out our website, Cinephellas.com, for the latest, greatest TV, movie news, and reviews. So that's it for these two wild boys. We're signing out from Tokyo, and we're having a hell of a time here. We'll be back very soon for some more movie and TV reviews. So until next time, this is Uncle Logan, my good mate over there, Uncle Henry, signing out. Until next time. Cheese!